Hey guys, and in only a handful of days now, F1 will host its first and potentially only race at one of my personal favourite circuits, Mugello, for the Tuscan Grand Prix. And in order to get the smallest taste of what that must be like from the comfort of my own home, I'm here in Assetto Corsa. I'm going to be driving in a field of 2017 Ferrari F1 cars, of course not using the 2020 ones because, well, I don't have all day, for a 5-lap long race at the fantastic Mugello circuit against the AI. Also, I have a bit of an admission to make. While recording this, I had to massively turn down the AI's difficulty because, my god, the AI around here are for some reason way too quick. But anyway, excuses on how slow I am aside, let's begin and see how we do in a race with F1 cars at Mugello. Let's go. So here we are in the heart of Tuscany at Mugello, starting right at the back of the pack for this 5-lap long race as the lights go out and we get a pretty great start, moving to the outside now to get past the slower car in front. Now making our way down the main straight. This will probably be this track's only DRS zone when F1 makes its way here later this week. Anyway, now trying to go through the rest of the field as the gap suddenly closes and I'm forced onto the grass by the car on the right. Braking a bit too early into turn 1, hard to remember this corner can be taken at such high speed with the insane downforce of these modern F1 cars. As we're now side by side with the car on the right coming into turn 2, taking the inside line, trying to push the other car wide on exit but to no success, as the other car barges past on the exit of turn 3. Making full use of the curbs on the outside there, trying to maximise my way through the available track. Now coming into turns 4 and 5, another similar left-right medium speed complex, as the cars in front start to get away slightly, so I really need to close up that gap as soon as possible. As we now approach, without question, my favourite part of the circuit, almost completely flat out through these long sweeping corners in these modern F1 cars. As we now make our way through this incredibly long uphill right-hander, could be taken completely flat out if it wasn't for the dirty airs from the car in front, somewhat compromising our speed, as shown there by me running wide on exit. Now coming into turn 10, as the cars in front go side by side into turn 11, ruining one of their exits as they go wide onto the curbs, allowing us to take advantage and saw past to take the position. Now turn 12, another long sweeping corner. Most of the corners on this circuit are quite similar, with there not being really any tight corners on the entire circuit, which is a bit of a problem dealing with dirty air with these modern F1 cars, but hopefully the 2022 regulation changes make it a lot more manageable as promised. Anyway, coming through the final corner now, side by side with the car on the right, just about hanging on as we make our way onto the main straight to take the position on the exit of the corner and come onto the second lap of this 5-lap race. Now skipping ahead slightly to turn 4 and 5 on the second lap as we're now bunched up in a train behind one of the cars in front, as the AI once again manages to get away from me on the exit of the corner, as we now make our way into the long fast middle sector, easily the best part of the circuit as we run right to the edge of those outside curbs and make our way once again onto this circuit's trademark turn 8 and 9, incredibly challenging piece of track but also incredibly satisfying should you get it right. And now braking into turn 10 in pursuit of the other cars, as the car in front brakes for whatever reason right in the middle of the track, slight contact there as they massively compromise me on exit. That little incident dropping me back from the cars in front and into the rest of the pack behind, as we now make our way through turn 12, running slightly wide through there, braking just a tad too late, but nothing at all major. And now that the cars in front are quite a long way ahead, I think it's time to go a bit off topic and talk about something else, and in this case, before it becomes old news, I want to talk about my thoughts on that unbelievable Italian Grand Prix last week. If you had told me at the start of this year that Pierre Gasly would be a race winner for AlphaTauri before Alex Albon for Red Bull, I would never even consider believing you. And what a well-deserved win. Gasly's career has been such a rollercoaster over the last couple of years, and this race win is the best redemption story probably in the whole sport's history in my opinion. Just saying out loud that the podium was Gasly, Sainz and Stroll, it's just so absolutely surreal. And this podium is the first podium without a Mercedes, Red Bull or Ferrari since 2012. A whole 8 years. Actually, I think I saw someone who'd apparently made a bet for that exact podium for only 20 cents and had made a profit of €34,000, since the odds were something ridiculous like 170,000 to 1. Anyway, coming back to the action and getting it slightly wrong into the entrance of turn 6, cutting across the grass on entry back there, as we now make our way through turn 8, completely flat out chasing the cars ahead, running super wide on the curbs, almost dipping a wheel onto the grass, as we now try and go around the outside of the car on the right, coming through turn 10, still there side by side as we come into turn 11, still side by side on exit, forcing them to run wide through there, and it looks like we've taken the position coming into turn 12, or have we? They're still right there with us as we continue the long fought battle, side by side going around the outside of turn 12. Now trying to have a look down the inside of the flat out turn 13, but that's not going to happen as they cut across and retake the position, with me slightly running wide on exit onto the grass, in the slipstream of the car in front now trying to take the inside line, but it looks like they secured the position. As we now make our way back onto the start-finish straight to begin lap 4 of this race here in Mugello, deploying cars and getting into the slipstream of the car in front, as we make our way past the pit lane and grandstand in these 2017 F1 cars. Up the hill we go now towards the first corner. I'm sure most of you overtakes what happened there during the Tuscan Grand Prix this Sunday, breaking up the 100 metre board and turning it nice and gently, seeing if we can close up the gap between us and the cars in front. Now skipping ahead once again all the way to the end of lap 4 now, as we approach the long sweeping final corner of turn 14. The cars in front still not too far ahead, so let's see if we can make a move on them on lap 5, the final lap of this race. Now back onto the start finish straight here at Mugello, quite a long run from the start line to the first corner, much longer than the likes of other circuits like Spa and Monza. And another thing about this circuit I didn't realise for a long time, is that it's quite an old school track, with its first race being all the way back in 1974, and unlike other tracks like Silverstone, it's kept the exact same layout since it was built all those years ago. I don't know if I was alone in thinking Mugello was a pretty modern track, but I guess not, so it's great to see Mugello finally get the spotlight it deserves with a place in the Formula 1 calendar. Anyway, now slowly but surely edging my way closer to the back of the cars in front. Not long now before the checkered flag at the end of this lap, so I definitely need to get a move on if I want to make up any more positions. As we now make our way through turn 7, easily flat out through there with a car with as much downforce as this, and the same could be said with turn 8, but maybe not quite as easily, with me running just a tad wide. Right up to the back of the car in front now, as we make our way over the crest of the hill and towards turn 10 with the car in front taking the inside line for whatever reason. And as a result of that getting severely held up in the process by the car ahead, as we now exit turn 11 and enter the final sector of this lap, with only a handful of corners to go before the checkered flag is waved. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we'll be making up any more positions before the end, so how about I spend some time talking about what this car's like on this circuit. In all honesty, this is probably the most fun circuit to drive a car like this at, because of how fast and flowing all these corners are, so an F1 car, an LMP1 car, or any car with tons of downforce is so much fun to take around here. Dirty air is a massive problem obviously though, so I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I predict the Tuscan Grand Prix is probably going to be pretty boring. But anyway, we cross the line to finish this 5-lap long race at Mugello in these modern Formula 1 cars, and I hope this video gave you somewhat of an insight on what F1 cars are like at this incredible circuit. But anyway guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe, comment, share, and I'll be back in the next video. See ya!